Am I the asshole stories? Am I the a-hole? Because I didn't let my daughter skip a grade? My kids are Joe Noah holes here. 14 meters, and Emma, 12F, and my husband is Johnny, 40 meters, for clarity. Emma has always been brighter than is typical for her age. She was reading at 4 and she's even gone to national competitions. We're really proud of her and all she's accomplishing. She's been in the gifted/talented program for a few years now, but now her school wants to take it further. They want her to go to 8th grade this year instead of 7th. The thing is though, Joe Noah holes here. Repeated a year, 6th, so he actually is in 8th grade. It was a hard year for him overall. He's a bit ashamed of that year and it really bothers him that he didn't put in more effort. I don't think it would be good for him if he and Emma share classes, which is very likely because it's a small school. So I declined the skipping grades arrangement and asked if we can just give Emma further enrichment like we've been doing, because she can definitely do 8th grade work. I thought that would be best for both kids. The trouble is that when I told Emma what we decided for her, she didn't take it well. She soon grew testy, saying Jonah's school placement has nothing to do with her. I told her that I was thinking of both of them when I made that decision. Emma later went to her room in tears, but she wouldn't let me check on her all evening. Johnny sided with me, saying it's right that I took both kids into account, but Emma is clearly still bothered and I really didn't want to upset her. I just wanted to be fair to everyone. Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. You didn't do what was best for both of them. You did what was best for your son. Let me point out some important things. 1. You didn't think if your daughter could have any difficulty making new friends. 2. You didn't think if your daughter could manage the pressure. 3. Most importantly, you didn't talk to your daughter about what she wants. 4. You just thought about your son and the fact that you took account of how your son would feel when he didn't even put efforts in his studies, but you didn't take account of your daughter's hard work really shows favoritism. Believe me, kids understand when a parent prioritizes one over other. In this case, both of Emma's parents are prioritizing her brother. Do you think it gets unnoticed? It simply doesn't. Nor does a kid forget this kind of treatments. Now for the comments. Soft, you're the a-hole. I showed a teacher friend of mine your post and he said when the school wants to skip your child a grade it is because the gifted classes are not enough for your child. The school looks at the student's emotional maturity and if they can keep up in the advanced grade. He also wanted you to know that your child might act out because she is bored. He's seen it happen all the time. Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. You are holding back your daughter because her brother couldn't be bothered to study. It's not even that he's got a learning disability or is otherwise unable to complete the work, according to you. He's just self-admittedly lazy and now regrets his laziness. And you're penalizing your daughter because of it. And I really have to wonder if there's an element of misogyny here that you're internalizing and not realizing it, that your girl child can outshine your boy child and you're going to hold her back in order to make him feel better. That's not fair to everyone. That's massively unfair to your daughter who should be allowed to reap the benefits of her intelligence and hard work. Now for the comments. I'll just tell you this, I was your daughter. I was the youngest, the bright kid, with an elder brother who struggled at school. My parents tried to protect my brother's ego and self-esteem by limiting how much I was allowed to talk about the things I knew that he didn't or couldn't understand. I was rarely allowed to be openly proud of my academic achievements because my brother had not achieved the same things. I still remember the times I was called arrogant for just expressing myself, and I was not an arrogant kid. They protected his ego, but they failed to protect my self-image. It left me with quite a big inferiority complex that I've only managed to get over in the past couple of years. I still find it difficult to take pride in my achievements and to allow myself to be smart. As if I need anyone's damn permission. Just know that your daughter has every right to be exactly who she is. This is teaching her that she is only allowed to be smart when it doesn't hurt other people's egos. And after centuries of female oppression, the one thing we don't need is women who are afraid to be clever in front of other people. The only right way of going about this is to make sure every day that your kids know that they are appreciated and celebrated for their unique talents, not for how they compare to each other. So yeah, you're the a-hole. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole? For telling my friend's fiancée that she doesn't know what a bad day is. Backstory, I'm a 29 meters and I've been in EMS for almost 7 years, but I've only been a paramedic on a department for about a year. Now on to the story. This happened a few shifts ago. We got a call at 0600 for a pediatric full arrest. When we got on scene, my heart dropped. The parents said that they put their 6-mo to bed last night and then went to bed. When Dad was about to leave for work, he opened the door to see his baby before leaving and noticed that the baby wasn't breathing. I stood there for a minute thinking about how I was going to tell these new parents the bad news. The baby was cold to the touch, pale, and lividity had set in. Their baby died in the middle of the night. I tried to convey my sympathy to them and told them that it wasn't their fault and tragedies like this happen. The parents were understandably inconsolable. The rest of the shift was silent. When I got home, I kept running that conversation with the parents in my head over and over again. I called up my friend and asked him if I could come over to talk. I went to his apartment and we talked for hours about it. I was just an emotional wreck because this was my first infant death. He tried to get me through this as best he could, but then his fiancée came home from work. She came in the front door and instantly started complaining that she had the worst day ever because a customer gave her attitude. When she walked into the living room and saw me, she said, "I had a bad day and I don't want people over, so you need to leave right now." When my friend said that something terrible happened to me at work, she looked at him and said, "All he does is sit around, watch TV, and play Xbox. How terrible can it be?" My friend and I were stunned. She kept going on and on about how I basically do 10 minutes of work on my 24 hours shifts and she works so much harder than me. I was already in a bad place emotionally, and hearing her say all those things just made my blood boil. I finally looked her in the eyes, and said, "You don't know what a bad day even looks like. You were mildly annoyed for 5 minutes and that's it." I had to look two new parents in the eyes and tell them that their baby died last night while they were sleeping. Just the thought of knowing they called us to save their baby and I was powerless to do anything kills me inside. But I know that, no matter how bad I feel, they are feeling much worse. Now tell me, do you still think you're having a bad day? And then I stormed out. My friend called me a few days later to check up on me. I was doing better by then and had more time to process everything. He went on to say that he had a long talk with his fiancée about what happened and said that what I told her really messed with her. She has been crying on and off since I left. I feel like I may be the because I lashed out at her in rage and I could have handled it better. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. It's the worst when it's kids. Your friend's fiancé needs to learn how to read the fucking room. The fact she was trying to one-up you and went as far as to insult your work is just gross. You expressed your feelings to her during an emotional, and pretty fucking traumatic, time, and you did not personally attack or insult her. She's feeling guilty and embarrassed for her lack of empathy. I hope she's learned from this. Your buddy is a good guy. And on another note, maybe take Adva, not the a-hole. GE of some me, not the a-hole. L health resources if your company offers them. You don't have an easy job, and with a therapist you can just word vomit your feelings and work through them properly. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. I feel sorry you've been through this. A lot of people don't know where paramedics etc. go through. On the other hand, because of that, a lot of people always think they have the worst day ever, even though it's something small like an attitude of a customer. I do think the fiancé should have taken a step back when your friend told her something worse happened to you. If you're ready, maybe you can talk with your friend's fiancé, just keep it neutral. Don't blame her and she shouldn't blame you. If not, maybe talk with your friend first. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. I was initially leaning towards you're the a-hole. From the title, but the way his fiancée acted towards you and the things she said were really shitty and inconsiderate. After your friend told her that something awful had happened, she just completely dismissed this and assumed that wasn't possible and that she obviously had a much worse story to tell. I also know that trauma and witnessing death can really mess with a person, so that probably added to you lashing out in the way that you did. She sucks and she shouldn't have made so many assumptions about your job and your day at work. If you ask me, she needed that reality check. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. At all. She treated you like a lazy idiot who spent his life on video games and TV when you had to assist to the worst event in a parent's life. Your reaction was totally normal. You are human. You have the right to feel sad and to let your emotions get the better of you in those type of situation. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole? For my reaction when I found out my son's mother picked a name without my input. Throwaway for privacy and also because of wanting to use few choice words, cause I'm pissed AF. My soon-to-be ex-wife Lizzie and I are currently separated and both responsible for it. It's so fucking complicated, but right now we agreed to be civil to each other for the sake of our son. She's 6 months pregnant, though she can't help but act out and ignore my concerned texts and calls about our son. Her excuse is that there isn't much I can do besides giving her space and peace of mind, which is bull. I admit that I can be a bit of a hothead sometimes, but she already knew that, so she can't be acting surprised claiming she's only recently seen my true colors or some similar shit. I've already spoke to her about picking a decent name and she agreed to consult with me later. Few days ago I came over to her house to pick stuff I needed for my new place. Her mom and sister were visiting and I overheard them say the name Jimmy repeatedly. I waited till my STBX sister-in-law got out to have a conversation with her. Her and I have always been good to each other, but of course things have changed now. Anyways, just out of curiosity I asked who the fuck Jimmy was and she said it's the name her sister picked for our son. I was infuriated and got hella agitated because she never told me she's already picked a name for our son and didn't even consider my input or listen to any suggestions I had. I snapped and went inside to talk to her, and my STBX sister-in-law followed me. I confronted Lizzie about the name and asked why she excluded me from such big decision, then went on about how incredibly, utterly disrespectful she has been acting recently, and she kept saying my input is worth shit after the trouble I put her through. As if she was saying that's my punishment for what happened between us. I told her very loudly that no matter what goes on between us she can never change the fact that I'm still the father and get equal say in every fucking thing regarding our son. I insisted that she get that through her thick skull and understand I have no problem letting my lawyer deal with her unacceptable behavior. She laughed in my face and told me to fuck off as she's the mother and get the final say. My STBX sister-in-law said I was stressing Lizzie out and had to go, but I kept arguing about it. She got her mother involved and the three of them basically ganged up on me and told me to leave. I refused to just drop it and got my family involved as well, although not all of them are on my side and against Lizzie's decision. Her mom called me horrible for stressing my baby's mother out and having her deal with mine and my family's bullshit. She told me to back off, but I refused until I get fair say in my son's name. No ifs, buts, or Jimmy. Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. If you are this angry and writing, I can even imagine what you are like in person. I also seriously doubt that she agrees that the separation is mutual. It sounds like she wanted distance from your anger and you took the opportunity to cheat. If you care about your child like you say you do, you will understand that the most important thing for him right now is a healthy mama to bring him into this world, and you will leave her alone. Let your lawyers work things out. Now for the comments. How you describe handling this situation paints a pretty clear picture of why you were not consulted. And this line tells me that this is not an exception. I admit that I can be a bit of a hothead sometimes, but she already knew that, so she can't be acting surprised claiming she's only recently seen my true colors or some similar shit. If you fly off the handle and browbeat your partner to get your way, this is what happens. You're the a-hole. Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. Let's break it down. The prologue: you cheated on your ex and to this day blame her for your choice to cheat. The story: your ex has decided to give your child a certain name. Instead of expressing your disappointment for not having a say, pointing out why you feel strongly about a different name and or informing her, you would involve the courts to establish pair, not the a-hole. L writes, you blew up. You called her disrespectful for not respecting you, the person who cheated on her. You cursed at her, insulted her intelligence and encouraged your family to harass her. Your use of your lawyer was far more of a threat than a factual statement. The epilogue: if you do decide to resolve this through the courts, you have given your ex all she needs to win her case. She has proof of harassment, violative behavior, and witnesses who can and will say you were intimidating and aggressive. Don't be surprised if you find yourself in court far earlier than your fight for naming rights that will be harder to ensure if you have a restraining order against you. The only actions you can control are yours. You're not doing that. Your best shot at getting what you want is proof that you are handling any potential concerns a court may have. Anger management/therapy is a great place to start. But more importantly, and what should be your main concern, is that anger management/therapy will help you be a better father. If you love your son, if you are fighting for him instead of simply against your ex, then keep in mind what's best for him. And what's best for him is a father who can control his anger and holds himself a not the a-hole. Play. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for charging my co-workers for carpooling? About a year ago I got a new job that is about 40 miles from where I live. Despite the distance, it's an amazing job. I knew two of my former co-workers were really struggling with finding a good job, especially since they didn't have a driver's license or cars, so I offered to get them hired up at my job and drive them if they would pay for my gas. This added about 15 miles and 40 minutes on my daily commute for picking people up and dropping them off. Recently my car broke down and I purchased an electric vehicle to replace it. The location I work has free charge points, so electricity-wise my car is now essentially free to drive to work. I still felt it's fair I get paid for taking both of them to and back from work every day while still keeping it cheap enough that it's saving them money compared to if they got cars and drove themselves. I decided on $30 a week from each of them was fair, a price point I am currently not budging on because I feel that's fair for my time. Both of my co-workers are absolutely livid with me and have been blindsiding me daily now with arguments against this. Their main complaint is that the original agreement was for gas money, not just to pay me, and I am just changing the deal on them to try and profit off them. I have now told both of them I won't be budging on this and will give them free rides for 3 weeks to give them time to find a new way to work, get their licenses, or get a new job. I tried to be polite but blunt and final on that statement. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. If an Uber picks you up in an EV, would you argue that your ride should be free? Regardless of you not needing gas now, you are still putting miles on your vehicle and spending extra time doing this favor for them. I think you are being more than fair, and if they don't like the deal, they can find a better one. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. But this isn't carpooling. Carpooling is where you all take turns driving so people get a break from driving, reduce emissions, and reduce overall costs. They're just bumming a free ride. I would say you charging them is completely fair. If you think about it, 40 minutes per day extra driving is about 3 hours a week, so they're paying you $10 an hour for you driving them. The other option is you compromise and they find their way to yours, so you are not going out of your way to pick them up/drop them off. Even still, it would be polite of them to chip in a little bit, or at least get you the odd bottle of wine/buy you dinner, because it's a regular thing, not just a one-off favor. Now for the comments. They're adding 3,000 plus miles to your car each year and using 150 extra hours of your time. $30 per week is cheaper than Uber, car, gas, insurance, etc. Not the a-hole. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. It's your time and vehicle. And even if you're not paying gas, those extra miles mean maintenance costs over time. If they were using their own vehicles, they'd have to pay for gas and maintenance, too. It's fair that everyone who is benefiting from the vehicle is chipping in. These are not close friends or family. They are co-workers. The fact that they are showing you this entitlement and anger when you're doing them a favor is a red flag. They don't respect what you're doing, and people like this will drain as much as they can out of you and push boundaries. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole? For telling my sister-in-law to work on her personal issues because she's upset that my boyfriend resembles her past abuser? Throwaway. My boyfriend, 24 meters, and I, 22F, have been dating for a little over 5 months. We're both fairly private people when it comes to relationships and personal lives, but we recently decided to introduce each other to our families. Last Friday, I invited him to have dinner with my parents, siblings, nieces and nephews. Everyone liked him and got along great together, except for my sister-in-law, 34F. Throughout the entire night, she would barely say a word or even look in our direction. He complimented one of the dishes that she had cooked, and she completely ignored him. I'm not very close with her, but she's never acted this way before. Skip to Saturday morning, and I wake up to a long FB message from my sil, in which she told me that she had been abused in the past, and my boyfriend's appearance resembled that of her abuser. I genuinely felt bad and apologized, and asked if we could meet privately and talk. She rejected my offer, and told me that she had said all that was needed in her previous message. I really didn't know how to reply, so I apologized again for bringing up any negative feelings from her past. I assumed that she just wanted to get that off of her chest, and possibly explain her behavior the previous night, and that was going to be the end of it. Then, my parents announced that they're having a family barbecue this weekend, and my sister-in-law calls and tells my mom that she and my nephews aren't coming if my boyfriend is going to be there. After my mom told me what was going on, I decided to go over to my brother and sil's house and try to talk with her. It didn't go as I had hoped. She gave me the same ultimatum that she had given my mom, and told me that they wouldn't be attending any future events if he was going to be there. I expressed that she was being unfair, and that I wouldn't choose in the future. She told me that I'm being insensitive and disrespectful towards her by putting her through this, that I'm being selfish for wanting him around that after she expressed how she feels, and that I'm only 22 and won't even be with him forever, so why am I choosing him over family? I was incredibly upset at this point, and I told her that it's unfair that she's punishing him, and me, for something that he has no control over, and that she needed to get therapy and work on her personal issues instead projecting them onto someone who has nothing to do with her past. She was furious and told me to leave. Since then, she's blocked me on everything. She's upset with my parents for refusing to take sides, and for not uninviting me and my boyfriend to the barbecue. She's messaged both of my younger sisters, one of them being only 15, and told them that I treated her badly and escalated the situation. My brother, her husband, wants no part of it and refuses to get involved. Am I the a-hole? Honestly, I probably won't go to the barbecue, but I have no idea how to proceed. Now for the comments. Yikes, not the a-hole, but again, yikes. Sticky situation. Your sister-in-law is being selfish. Her disliking of your BF should not dictate whether others spend time with him, especially since it is appearance, something he cannot change, not personality, that she has a problem with. I'd be able to sympathize with her more if she chose to avoid him but didn't care if others didn't. The ultimatum only makes her seem controlling and attention-seeking. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You're exactly right, she's punishing him for something he cannot control. He was not her abuser. Are you to stay away from all guys that have the same features as her awful ex? She definitely needs therapy. She needs to get to know this guy and remember he is not her ex, he's his own person. Now for the comments. AITA. It's horrible that she went through trauma, but projecting that onto your BF and you is unhealthy and a sign that she needs help. Reinforcing her belief that avoiding her problems is the key isn't going to help anyone. She needs to work on her own issues without making it a problem for everyone else. The fact that she reached out to people who weren't involved and made it their business is also a sign she's trying to seek validation and also isn't healthy. You didn't do anything wrong. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your parents actually do need to get involved if she is dragging your 15-year-old sister who is a minor into this. She is behaving irrationally and does need to see a therapist. I'm glad your parents didn't give in to her unreasonable request. You are their child, not her. You and your boyfriend should be welcome at your parents' home just as your sister-in-law and brother are. I think you have gone above and beyond to try to resolve this issue. Personally, I don't think you need to apologize. You and your boyfriend did nothing wrong. The fact that she said your nephew wouldn't be attending family functions is extremely manipulative. She is using him as leverage in an attempt to get your parents to do what she wants in order to see their grandchild. Moving forward, you should focus on you and your relationship. Don't allow her to interfere with your relationship with your boyfriend or your parents. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your assessment of the situation is 100% correct. She needs to seek therapy for her issues before she starts projecting them onto other innocent people, as it is completely her issue instead of one that necessitates everyone else walking on eggshells. Go to the barbecue, don't set the precedent of bowing to her unreasonable demands. Your brother may not want to get involved now, but after she keeps refusing to go to family gatherings, his patience will wear thin and he'll probably help her get the therapy she needs.